Well, good morning. We're back on to the Les Paul guitar rebuild video series here. And I'm just going to take you over to the workbench, and in behind here I'll show you what just came in. So just hang on. Well, let's take a look. So what came in? Again, I ordered all this stuff. This stuff came out of Stumac, United States. And yeah, good old customs, Canadian customs. On top of all that, they soaked me another Canadian customs soaked me another $31 to get this stuff into Canada, but that's okay. Anyway, so I've got a good set of Grover machine heads, the antique vintage heads, and guaranteed for life. So they're a really good set. You can see in the back of the package you've got your sleeves and everything else, your bolts and nuts and whatever else you need to put these onto the Les Paul, put them on the headstock. So that came in, and then of course I've got the set of new electronics came in. This was another set, this set from Stumac, the large pots, good quality, all good quality stuff here, guys. Switch here, the switch, three-way switch. And some little wiring harness and stuff, and the wiring over here. And the other thing I also order in, because I have just that plastic jack plate from the original Les Paul, and I want to put a nice chrome cover plate on for the amp jack. So I ordered one of them in, and there's the two little bleed resistors for the right there for the tone controls on the both front and back pickup. Again, I'm using the pickups that came out of the Les Paul. It was a 1959 reissue Pro Les Paul that I'm working on, and it had the excellent pickups in it. So the only thing I don't have to replace is the pickups. So that's kind of where we're at with the all the electronics and all the hardware's in. And if you can recall, I'm going to take you over here. I got the Les Paul still hanging. And again, you've seen my videos before this on this series. You know, I've got the poor man's guitar holder, which is basically a screw in this overhang and a bungee cord through the headstock. And that's how I hang my Les Paul, and I get to put get the finish on, you know, front, back, and sides without touching it. And the other thing too is, just to recap what I had done on this guitar. I had used some black stain that I had put on a water base, and to kind of give it a burst on the outside edges. It's hard to see here because it's so shiny. And then I put 11 coats of True Oil on this guitar. Over time, you only put 2 coats a day, one in the morning, one at night. So I'm looking at a week of putting these the True Coat on. And after that, I do a light sanding. I use 1600 grit, sand it all over lightly, make sure there's no little bumps or anything on the guitar. And I finish off, I take my True Oil and I thin it out with a little bit of clear mineral spirits. Make it a little bit, you know, not so sticky, a bit more liquidy. And I put 4 more coats of True Oil on top. And then I let it hang here. It's been hanging here for 2 days to make sure it's well cured. And yeah, and again, to recap the finish on this thing, if you look at it, it's, I mean, you could almost see your face in this thing. It's like a mirror finish. It's just really surprised me how well that True Oil finished off. So what's going to be happening in the next video, we're going to go back to the workbench here. You're going to see the Les Paul sitting on this on my work table. I'll have it up on the Skycam, and we're going to start, I guess, putting the hardware on and wiring this thing up. So it's not that far. We're going to be playing this guitar, probably another video or 2, and we're all done. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. Over and out, and see you in a few minutes on the Skycam. Bye-bye. Well, this is going to be a fun video because we're going to start putting the machine heads on. So got them laid out. I got the screws in this little magnetic holder here, and These are the real Grover high quality machine heads for this Les Paul. So what we're going to do is one thing to be careful of. People make the mistake. These go on with the tuner up this way. So put that in there, just like that. And what I do, I start it like this, get it started. This isn't going to be tightened up yet. It's just going to be finger tight like that. And I put them all up like this to start with. So we're just going to go ahead. And the one thing you notice about these machine heads is that these are exactly the right size to fit this the hole in this headstock. It's a 10 millimeter wide hole size in this headstock. So when you order these machine heads, you have to be careful that you make sure and order the you know, the correct machine head size for the headstock. So we just get them just finger tight is all I'm doing. I'm not even not even finger tight, just so it's on there like that. So we just keep on going. We do the other side. These are the perfect fit for this this Les Paul. So that means that when these machine heads are screwed on, there's no wobble to these guys. They're perfect fit for the instrument. So let's see what we're gonna do here. Get this one up here. Whoop, wrong one. Go here first. So you can see this is a pretty simple process. Just to go along, put them on. The other thing that you'll, oops, gonna fall away on me. The other thing that you want to be careful of too is that these washers. They got a little bend on them. Make sure you put them on the right way. You can put these washers on upside down. So want to make sure you don't make that mistake. So anyways, we get something like that. And then what if I wanted, this is basically, I believe, a size 10 metric. So I'm just gonna tighten it just a little wee bit, just so the thing don't wobble around. I'm not putting any really pressure on yet to tighten this down yet. I want to be able to adjust it to make sure these guys are straight, eh? The other thing I did is this headstock, I pre-prepped it. It's been polished with number 1500 grit. So this headstock is perfectly clean and smooth and just like brand new out of the factory. So anyways, we get them set up like that. Now what I'm going to do with that done, I'm going to flip the instrument over. So we're just going to flip her over like this. And now you can see the back side of it here. And now we can actually go ahead and we can make sure these guys are lined up straight. So that's what I'm going to do now. We don't want to have crooked machine heads on this guitar. So I spend the time to make sure that these guys are correctly positioned. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Now the other thing I have to do while installing these machine heads, there's two little screws that go on the top and bottom. And these little screws are these little chrome guys that look like this. And of course, to make this thing easy, you're going to drill a little pilot holes here with your electric drill, which I have laying around back here somewhere. I have my electric drill, my handy dandy drill here. But the one thing you want to make sure of is that when you're drilling down into drill that pilot hole, you don't go right through, come out the other end of the headstock. So you see what I do? I put a little bit of yellow tape on here, and I only got a little bit of that end going. So now I know when I drill this hole down in here, you know, I'm not going to go through because I stop right at that yellow tape, and you can see that I make sure that the yellow tape where I am drilling the pilot hole isn't just about the same depth as this screw that I'm going to be putting in. So that ensures me that I'm not going to make a mess and ruin this headstock. But what I'm going to do before I drill this hole, I'm going to stop the video because I'm going to stand this up on end and just eyeball this headstock from maybe 3 or 4 feet away to make sure these machine heads are exactly the right position. So I'm going to do that. Hard for me to show you that on the camera, but just stand by, I do that, I'll be right back. Hold on. So I've done that little bit of work, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill the pilot holes. Drill them all in one shot. Like I say, I've got that those washers on the top. I've got them tightened up enough so this thing isn't going to move. I got my yellow tape on there, so I know I'm not going to drill through the headstock. I just go down to that correct depth, just like this. And that basically is that. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure we get rid of that sawdust that I've got going on there. So I'm just going to take this guitar up, and I'm just going to hopefully blow it off like that. Pretty well got it all. Put it back up into position here. And what do I need now? Well, I need a screwdriver going to fit that. And let's take a look up here in my drawer and see what I got here. I see if I got the right size for these. I think I do. Looks that way anyways. And I'm going to grab one from over the other side here. Excuse me as I go in front of the camera. Got a long reach here to get this screwdriver case out, because I want to make sure I got the right size for this. Last thing I want to do is strip one of these screws. So there's the right size. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put them in, and hopefully, the other thing I usually do is I don't tighten them all down. I put both of them in before I do the final tightening. I just drop it. It's really helpful if you have a magnetic screwdriver, you know, on this. I don't. I've got bigger ones that are magnetic, but I don't have small ones that are magnetic. And it would make a lot of sense if I did, because this would be a lot simpler to do if I was using magnetic head on the end of here, so these screws would stick and not fall off, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. And as I say in other videos, the one thing I always do, especially on something like this, I don't like using power drills. Very easy with a power drill, for especially on small screws like this. For the you know, if using something like this, slide off, down, ding the headstock, or over twist it and twist the head off the screw. Now you got the darn screw half in the hole, half out with the head off. Trying to drill it out, making a mess of your headstock. So lots of little tricks that you want to do, you know, make this job easy. Sometimes a little longer to do the way I do it, but you can imagine it's a lot safer. And the way I'm doing it here, pretty hard to make a mistake and screw up your headstock the way I do it. Whoop, that one doesn't want to go in. She fall down. It's a pretty small little hole here we got to get into. But these are gonna look fantastic on here, these Grovers. The antique Grovers, they're the antique, the tuning knobs are kind of like a little bit of a green hue to them, like the real old antique look to them. So I'm pretty pleased with these. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these right in all the way. And again, you don't have to over tighten these, you just bring them down. See what I'm doing? I bring them down snug. I can tell when they're tight just by the feel. And this feel you don't have obviously when you're using an electric drill and screwing these in. You don't have that feel. So I show you the right way to put on machine heads. At least in my mind, the right way to put on the machine heads. Doesn't take long. I got pretty well this done. Tighten up these last remaining screws on this side and call this a done deal. Like I say, most of my equipment, most of my parts I get from StuMac in the States. Like I find them to be good quality, good variety too. Don't forget, on the back of this headstock was the that stupid G-force electronic tuning thing that Gibson put on these Pros. The darn thing. My other videos before this, you'd see where that got pulled out and get rid of it. I don't want that on here. I want the old traditional style, tuning heads. We're just about done here. So they're all nice and snugged in. I just do one more little run through just to make sure that I got them well seated where they should be. And again, you notice, don't over tighten. Just don't want to strip nothing. You bring them in just so they're snug, just to make sure. And that's that. So now we're going to flip the guitar back over on the other side and to take a look at this. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that this is snug down. And again, you don't tighten this up. This is just a snug fit. Just like that. You don't want these things crimped down, denting the wood. You just want them tight enough. And that's that. So let's take a look at this job. I'm going to take this off the holder here, and I'm going to go overhead, give you a zoom in on this to see what it looks like. Okay, be right back. So we're back, and you can see what it looks like from the top with those machine heads installed, and looks pretty nice. Nice and level, nice and even all the way across. And then the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to flip the guitar over, I guess, and we'll look at the back side of it, see what it looks like. And you get a good idea looking down here what these machine heads look like installed correctly. So that looks like a pretty nice job. They're all nice and level, they're all nice and even. I have no problem with that. And I'm happy with that. So next time we come onto this video, going to be setting up, and we're going to be starting on the electronic wiring. So if you're interested in how to wire a Les Paul with 2 humbucker pickups and a 3-way switch and 2 volume controls and 2 tone controls, stay tuned. Over and out.